This program, we're going to look at a different thing that is very similar to a do while loop, but I'll show you how it works in a little bit of a different way. Um, so just put the warning here, do not program. Program. Just a second. Program. So do not program this. I'll tell you when we're going to start the real program here. This is just sort of a test. Okay, so imagine we have a program that will keep track of how many marbles we have in a bunch of different bags. So we're going to have an integer value, which is going to be our bag count. And then we're also going to have a number of marbles in each of those bags. And we're also going to have a marble total. This is going to be an accumulator. So again, make sure you initialize this. Accumulators typically, although not always, get initialized at 0. Though we'll see an example where that is not the case soon, I'm sure. So anyway, here's what we're going to start with. Cout. How many bags of marbles do you have? Okay, so then the user is going to enter that here into the bag count variable. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start a loop that is going to keep track of that. So do while, and we're going to do this in a bit of a different way, while the bag count is larger than 0. Okay. So what we're going to do is every time we go through the loop, we are going to prompt the user for how many marbles are in the bag. So cout how many marbles. And I guess we should say in the bag to keep it specific. Put a semicolon here. Cin, this is going to be our marbles value. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take our bag count, and this is a good reminder that we can do this, just like plus plus is an increment, minus minus is called a decrement, which means reduce by 1. So sometimes we use this. We're actually going to use this more commonly with another loop style that we're going to do. But usually you use this with counters when you're doing loops when you want to reduce something. So anyway, what we're going to do is get an amount of marbles. Oh, we should marble total becomes marble total plus marbles. There we go. And now at the end, we will get our total amount of marbles. Marble total end out. All right. So let's take a look at how this program works. I'm going to run it just so that we can see what the output looks like. So how many bags of marbles do I have? I want to keep this short so that we can move on to the real program. I'm going to say 3. We have 3 bags of marbles. How many marbles in the bag? 6 marbles in that bag. 2 marbles in this bag. And 5 marbles in the last bag. So great. I've got a total amount of marbles of 13. Now here's a scenario, and although I think this is a bit of a silly use of this, it illustrates very clearly where we would want to use this new loop style. So I'm going to run this program again. And let's see what happens this time. How many bags of marbles do you have? Well, for some reason, I have 0 bags of marbles. So let's see what the program does when you have no bags of marbles. So I'm going to hit enter. And then it says, well, how many marbles in the bag? But that doesn't make any sense because I have no bags of marbles. So I'm going to say 4. And then it says a total amount of marbles is 4. So the proper way to do this program would have been that we have 0 bags of marbles and then nothing happens. And then I assume that the amount of total marbles would be 0. So for that, we need to use a little bit of a new loop style. So I'm going to wipe this out, and then please follow along with the current version of the program, and we'll see how to fix this. Okay, so for the first situation here, we'll just do a practice one. So we'll do something similar. Let's do n gets the value 10. So we'll start off with this. Now, what we're going to do is, instead of a do while loop, we are going to do a while loop. And this is how it works. And I'll show you how it functions differently in just a second. So while n is larger than 0, we are going to see out just the value of n, and then we'll put an end out. And then what we're going to do afterwards is we're going to decrement. So I'll put this in so you can get this item down. So decrement equals reduce by 1. So let's take a look at what this does. I'm going to run the program. All right, so we get 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is great. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to change this program, and we're going to start with n gets the value 0, and we'll run it again and then see what happens. So I'll pull up my my output. So we'll run this, and then you should find that nothing actually happens. It doesn't go through here and decide to display a value of n. What happens is, instead of checking the condition at the end, while loops check the condition at the beginning. And there's a whole bunch of places where you would use this. The primary situation is for a loop that may or may not actually run on the first iteration. So a do while loop always runs on the first iteration. So let's actually put that in as a little note here. So the difference is do while always runs at least 1 iteration. While may not even run once. So there's a ton of places where you would actually want to have a loop that doesn't even run. So let's redo the example from before, but we'll do it with a while loop style. Okay, so I don't commonly put variables anywhere other than at the top of my program, but I'm going to do this because it's going to feel like 2 programs. So we're going to, so please program this, of course. This is really good to refer to later. So our bag count here, which is our counter variable, even though it's not initialized where the variables are declared, int marbles is going to be entered by the user, int marble total. This is going to be our accumulator. At some point I'll stop reminding that these are counters and accumulators, but it's pretty good to have those as reminders for now while we're still learning. So let's again see out how many bags of marbles do you have? And then the user will enter the bag count. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll do our while loop like this. So while the bag count is larger than 0. So again, so if they enter a 0 or for some reason a bag count that is a negative number, maybe you actually owe somebody a bunch of bags of marbles for some reason, not an uncommon scenario. You might not even run this loop. So we're going to see out. This is our prompt inside the loop. How many marbles in this bag? And then we'll see in the value of marbles. Then we will increase our marble total equals marble total plus marbles. And then we are going to have our bag count. Just like before, we are going to decrement the bag counter. I don't know why I'm writing that in all caps, but I guess it's important. That's why. So then at the end, we will get our total marbles count. So this will be marble total and L. Here we go. Okay. So let's take a look at how this works. In this program, notice that it actually starts with how many bags of marbles do you have. Remember that the way we wrote this, it's not even going to run this loop once. So we will say I have 3 bags of marbles. How many marbles in this bag? 10. How many marbles in this bag? 20. How many marbles in this bag? 400. There we go. And then I get my total of 430. So that's a really good example of where we would want to use a while loop, and we'll see other places where we're going to use that in the future.